All right, thanks a lot, Ed. What happened to a 35-year-old Elkhart woman who vanished after a trip to the store last August? Police are at a loss in the search for Anastacia Reyes-Cortes. In fact, they have sent this case to the FBI headquarters in Quantico, Virginia, to see if profilers there may be able to provide any new insight. WSBT-22's Kristen Bean has spent the last month looking into this case. And Kristen, are they sure that maybe she didn't just disappear intentionally?
Diane, they say that's unlikely. She has 2 young daughters, and none of her family in Mexico or California has heard from her. Elkhart homicide detectives are looking into this case. That started after her car was found burned out a few days after she disappeared. Sounds suspicious? That's what police say. Her family says this is not a woman who would leave her children behind. What then happened to Anastacia Reyes-Cortes?
Fortunately, we still have a lot of more questions than answers.
Elkhart homicide detectives are looking into her disappearance because they say everything about this case is suspicious.
The fact that we don't know what happened, none of the families heard from Anna since the 26th of August of last year, and her vehicle was found, it had been burned. It was found on the 28th by Wakarusa Police Department.
Her family, though, especially her 2 young daughters, ages 6 and 10, hope she'll come home.
That is what we are waiting for her return, for me, for my daughters, for everything, for our families.
Her husband, Riveriano Ortega, doesn't speak English. He spoke with us through a translator. They've been together 10 years now. He says these last few months without her have been hard. August 26 started out like any other day. Riveriano was at work. Anastacia walked the kids to school, then stopped at the grocery store. This surveillance video was taken around 9:15 that morning.
We feel pretty confident that she made it home from the store, obviously, because we located a receipt inside of the house, which basically there was the items that she purchased on that day. Of course, it's dated, and then the grocery items that she bought that reflect are in the house. So it seems logical that she came home and unloaded the groceries.
But police say from there, she vanished. She wasn't at home that afternoon when friends came to pick her up for work. And her van was gone, despite the fact that Anastacia doesn't drive. Riveriano reported her missing the following morning when he realized she didn't come home from work.
But the second day and the next day, I started to get nervous and scared because I didn't know what to expect.
Then, on the 28th, a horrifying discovery in Wakarusa. The missing van was found burned out behind a cluster of businesses.
This is more just tucked behind a building, maybe a couple feet into a cornfield where the vehicle clearly had been burned. And it was actually, nobody saw it. We can only assume that it was burned under the cover of darkness because it didn't get reported as an active fire. It wasn't until afterwards that the maintenance guy found the vehicle completely, it had burned itself out.
This is the location where the van was found. There was no snow on the ground back in August, but it was tucked behind this building in a cornfield back there. This location is not something you would think about unless you were familiar with the area. And that's one of the issues that's bothering people who know Anastacia. You see, Riveriano works a mile away, and Ana's family believes he may know more than he's letting on.
I think it was him, because when she was learning how to drive, and Riveriano was super mad because she had bought the van. He was very mad because my sister bought it. Why do you think I say it's him? Because how odd that my sister is missing and her van disappears and she barely knew how to drive. And then a couple of days later, they find the van burnt.
Of course, we went back to ask Riveriano about these accusations. Did you have anything to do with her disappearance?
No.
He says the couple has had their ups and downs, but always had each other. Plus, he has taken a lie detector test, and while they won't reveal the results, police say he's been forthcoming during the investigation.
At times I get mad. People say whatever they want to say. People think differently, have different opinions. They see the world as they want to see it.
There is one thing that everyone can agree on, that this mother who loved her girls more than anything would never have left them behind on purpose. Now, Riveriano has an alibi. Police say he was at work that day, but they also emphasize no one is above suspicion, not even Riveriano. Also important to mention that the focus of this investigation is Anastacia and not immigration. If you have any information at all, call the Elkhart Police Department. Translators are working with police. Diane.
Fascinating story, and we saw those beautiful children. How are the girls doing?
Well, as good as can be expected at this point. They're seeing counselors. That's what Riveriano says. They're seeing counselors through the school, and he says he's trying to get their lives back to normal, even though this situation really anything but.
That's for sure. And Kristen, such a good piece in it. I know you've been busy working on more for us.
Yeah, that's right. Coming up next week, we got another cold case. On Sunday, we're looking into the 2001 disappearance of 12-year-old Stephen Kraft of Benton Charter Township. It's a case you may be familiar with, but we did a long sit-down with police, and we'll share some information that you may not have heard before. That's, of course, next Sunday night at 11.